I'm the founder of Chicago Impressionism. You can find out more at chicagoimpressionism.com. Chicago Impressionism is basically a new genre of art and founded by my painting, my oil paintings, where it combines the freedom of the soul of the Impressionist painter with the popular culture of Chicago, which is a vibrant, very worldly, vibrant, cosmopolitan city, one of the best cities in the world. Anyway, not only am I an artist and an oil painter, but I'm a storyteller. And I'm going to tell a story about a trip that I took to Venezuela. There was a military coup. The government was attacked by rebels, led by Chavez, and I was going to try to get out of the country. It's a true story, no BS, no exaggeration. As far as Chicago Impressionism is concerned, just a little more about that. It's just a genre of art that I founded. It's based on the freedom that the Impressionist painters found by painting what they wanted to paint, rather than a patron or some king paying them commissions to do public relations pieces of the king. These were actual paintings that they wanted to paint with a very free brush. As Voltaire says, the soul of the painter is in the freedom of his brush. And certainly I've tried to adopt that with Chicago Impressionism. Some of my paintings are behind me. So now I'm going to tell the story about Venezuela. So Chavez attempts a military coup, take over the government. This is back in the 90s. Actually, he was unsuccessful. This attempt was unsuccessful. He spent 2 years in prison. After this coup, he eventually took over the government. As we know, he's in control of the government and elected president at this time in 2011. Anyway, when I was there, I was on a small island off the coast of Venezuela. It's called Margarita. I was on a windsurfing trip with my girlfriend Supinda. We were there having a good time, windsurfing, enjoying the culture, the beautiful Latin culture, the people of Venezuela, beautiful culture of people. Every night we would go into town and experience the food, the shopping, and the nightlife. It was very fun. We were there for a couple weeks, and suddenly something changed. Everybody was nervous. There was an armed guard at the front door of our little resort. We were at a little resort out on the beach. This is a resort with, didn't have air conditioning. It didn't have any kind of cable TV, nothing like that. It was just a basic, beautiful resort with palm fronds as roofing material. Just a lovely place. But suddenly there was a stress. Everybody was nervous. We didn't really know what was going on because we didn't have news feeds of any kind. There was suddenly an armed guard at the front door of the resort. Now this was a guy who was nervous. He had a little gun like a silly pistol. He didn't know who was who. He was confused. And he almost made the situation worse than trying to be some type of security. The problem when you have these rebel forces is a lot of times they don't even have uniforms. You don't know who is who. And this was the guard's problem. That evening, Supinda and I went into town, and all the businesses mostly were closed. There were loudspeakers and radios everywhere blaring a speech, a recorded speech by the president, saying that everything was going to be okay. And this was a loop speech. It was played over and over and over. It was creepy, to be honest, to be downtown, deserted streets, businesses closed, and to hear this looped message, everything's going to be okay, we're taking over, the rebels have been put in prison, this type of thing. But nobody really knew what was going on. As it turned out, everybody wanted to get out of that country. Everybody that was a tourist, everybody that was had any kind of political significance. They wanted out of that country, and most people wanted to go to the United States, of course. But everybody wanted to just get out. The airport was closed. As it turned out, the day that the airport opened was the same day that our flight was supposed to leave direct to New York. Now this had become like a very significant flight because it was direct to New York City. Everybody wanted this flight. Now, when we got to the airport around 11 o'clock that day, 11 in the morning, we were greeted by military. They had sandbags at the front door of the airport. Now for me, a young man from the suburbs of Chicago, only had been out of the country once or twice, to walk up to the airport and see 3 military guys with a big machine gun and sandbags was unusual. And I wasn't used to that. So these were like 16, 17, 18-year-old military kids. They had the fatigue pants and white T-shirts and Marlboros, boxes of Marlboro cigarettes wrapped up in the sleeves, and they were smoking cigarettes and looking at the girls, whistling at the girls, catcalling to the girls, basically. They had a machine gun, one of these big machine guns that's on a tripod. It had the big bullet belt coming out of it, the big caliber bullets, and they had these little tiny machine guns, you know, and they were sitting there very macho and enjoying their importance. We get to the airport, very little facilities, unorganized, no computers, no basic facilities that a normal airport would have, no food, hard to get water, nobody knew what they were doing. The people that were the ticket agents were upset. They looked like they hadn't slept. Their uniforms were not proper. It was a bit unorganized. To get on our flight, which was Viasa Airlines, this was owned by the government, which was part of the conflict, was they were worried that the rebels would try to either steal, hijack, or shoot down one of the tourist planes. Venezuela was promoting tourism, especially from the United States. That's how I got involved to fly down there. Flights were cheap, $300-400. You get a round-trip ticket from New York to this beautiful desert island in the Caribbean. Anyway, we got to the airport. Luckily, we had hard copy printed tickets. We presented those to the guy that was in charge. Now, this guy was in a back office. You kind of had to, you know, kind of force your way in to go talk to him. He was the one making the decision on who would take this flight and who wouldn't. There weren't a lot of flights. There were very few flights. Everybody wanted out of that country. So what happened was, because we had these printed tickets, we were able to get on the list to get out on this direct to New York flight. The plane was supposed to come from Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, to the small island, short flight, empty. It was supposed to come across empty, full of fuel, and then direct to New York. Fill up, we were all supposed to get on, fill up the plane, and go direct to New York. So what happened was the flight was delayed, but we thought we had tickets. They put us in a special holding area, everybody that was going to be on this flight. They put us through security, and we were in this special room, kind of all there, nervous, all day long, delay, and they were closing the airport at dark because they were worried about these rebels taking over the plane or using the darkness to steal a plane or something like that, hijack, that type of thing. So the sun is setting now. Our plane is still not there. Everybody wants out of there. The ticket agent goes, don't worry, it's on its way, the plane's on its way, the plane's on its way. Sun is setting. Finally, the plane lands. They don't bring the plane up to the terminal. They leave it out on the tarmac, way out on the tarmac, like ready to take off. They pull up this stairway. They start loading the plane. We all get on the plane. It's one of these big, wide-body planes. We're sitting, me and my girlfriend, Supinda, are sitting right here at the door. The door is coming up the stairway, and then the flight attendants, their little kitchen and their little facility is right in front of us. So they're standing right in front of us. Everybody gets on the plane, but there's a conflict. There was a stowaway. There's some guy, obviously like a Latin politician. He's got a suit on that looks like he hasn't changed it in a week. He's got a briefcase on his lap with the death grip on there. And he will not leave his seat. He's a stowaway. He does not have a right to the seat. There's a guy standing there with a ticket, with a boarding pass, that he should have that seat. His wife has the seat next to him. He wants on that plane. He wants to go to New York. The stowaway is blocking everything.